Nature's Spirit is a sleeper hit biomod that released just over a year ago, and which already has over 1 million downloads. In my last video covering every biome and regions unexplored, I got a slew of requests to cover this one too. Way more than Terralith, the Abnormals biomes mods, or anything else. Among the videos in this series, this will be the first time I'm covering a mod completely blind, as I haven't seen this one covered by any other YouTube videos, or be featured in any big mod packs yet, that I know of. With that said, you might be surprised just by how solid this one is. Is it actually secretly the best biomod? Let's find out! The alpine clearings and highlands are plain, but pretty groves, featuring larch and fir trees, along with white, red, and purple heathers dotting the place. The highlands are the same, but with some elevated wild generation. Pretty cool, but relatively dull. C tier. The arid highlands have ground made of pink sand and chert, both of which look great. For the most part, it seems to be a sub-biome that spawns in between lower Y-level desert biomes and mountainous regions. Decent for what it is, but a lesser version of something else. There'll be quite a few of these coming up. B tier. The arid savanna is a somewhat sparse savanna biome, featuring acacia and saxaul trees. Succulent plants that look like chorus fruit stalks also populate the place. More chert too. All the dry yellowish green is broken up nicely by the occasional rose and new anemone. Ooh, it's alright. C tier. I audibly gasped when I saw the aspen forest for the first time. It's so insanely pretty. The shade of yellow on the inside of the aspen logs is as sweet as honey, as is the shade of yellow on the aspen leaves themselves, which is a little more desaturated than any other biome mod's aspen leaves, giving it a remarkably gentle impact upon the eyeballs. Oh yeah, and there's also green aspen leaves variant. They're fine, but I like everything else a bit better. S tier. The bamboo wetland is insanely cool. A bamboo jungle is fused with a marsh and even a little bit of badlands to create this insanely distinctive environment. Instead of lily pads, we have hellever pads with these flowers on them. Lotus flowers also grow from the water. The terracotta breaking up the abundance of green is fantastic, as is the distribution of bamboo, mud, and jungle trees. It's excellent. I can't state how much I love it. S tier. The blooming dunes are a pretty field biome with purple and yellow wildflowers that make an environment feeling like Amatrine. The place is also filled with Joshua trees?
Hey, it's me!
We also have these very pretty Palo Verde trees with some lovely yellow bushes. This biome also has its very own village type, adobe villages. And no, not like that crappy company. Their walls are made out of kaolin. Lovely stuff. A tier. The blooming highlands are alright. A flower field biome comprised of dandelions, blue irises, and ruby blossoms. There isn't really much going on here. It's plain, but pleasant. C tier. The blooming Sugi forest might be one of the best biomes I've ever seen. It feels rather reminiscent of the Zhangjiajie National Forest Park from China, featuring insane stone pillars populated by both cherry blossom and Sugi trees. Not only that, but to avoid uninterrupted blocks of grey assaulting the biome, the cliff faces themselves are also populated in little shelves of Sugi leaves, and even small waterfalls. God, it's awesome. Just look at it. Easy S tier. Much like my feelings on Region Unexplored's biome of the same name, I am not a massive boreal taiga fan here either. I think I even like it a little less than that other one. Patches of snow littering the ground amidst plenty of larch and fir trees, with the occasional scatterings of ice blocks to boot, make the place rather dull and desaturated, and I'm not very fond of it for all of those reasons. D tier. The carnation fields are very cute. They introduced the titular carnation flower bushes alongside the complementary begonia and the odd scatterings of cypress trees. Between all this, the warm green hue of the grass and the kaolin stone of the cliffs, this biome has a wonderful garden feel to it. Does that make sense? I feel like calcite statues and little dirt pathways would look great in this biome. It's like the Greek countryside. Excellent stuff. A tier. The cedar thicket lives up to its name in being incredibly thick, with trees. Cedar trees, to be precise. It's not my favorite, but I appreciate the funky pattern of the leaves texture to try something very different looking without feeling too noisy somehow. You can also very occasionally find olive trees hidden amongst the foliage, growing grapes off of them. Cute. Decent biome. B tier. The chaparral has more trees than I typically expect of an environment that is usually defined by how shrubby it is. Mind you, that seems to be to this biome's benefit, as it's filled with a nice mixture of oak and fir trees, the latter of which is darker, cooler green, cuts nicely into an otherwise warm environment. Very pleasant biome. A tier. More larch and fir trees fill out the coniferous covert in a far more mountainous region than usual. Stone really makes itself a centerpiece in this biome. It's an excellent change of pace, and the grass is just saturated enough against the stone without being overly so to contrast it wonderfully. A tier. The cypress fields honestly feel pretty redundant when you put them side by side with the carnation fields. To my observation, the only difference is that these ones have olive trees in addition to cypress ones, so the carnation fields end up being more of a cypress fields than this biome. The more noticeable aspect of this biome are its wholly unique cypress villages. They're really pleasant, making use of granite slabs for the roofs and a mixture of stone, sandstone, and dyed kaolin for the body of the homes, with olive wood furnishings for the grape on top. On its own merits, A tier, I suppose. I'd get rid of the carnation fields for its inclusion though. You don't need both. For as simple as they are, the drylands are pretty neat. Instead of stone, they have pink sandstone, which is a lovely peachy shade. Very nice. Though not nice enough to bring this biome up anything past a C tier. The dusty slopes make me dusty sleepy. Snore. F tier. The fir forest is fascinating for featuring a feature that I've never seen utilized in any other biome before. The generation is different depending on how high or how low you are. The peaks of this biome have snowy tops, whilst the lower regions have none. How cool! Or temperate, depending on where you are. Outside of that, it's fine. A little more muted than I find particularly enjoyable, to be honest, so this one gets a C tier. Wisteria vines in a variety of flavors drape the floral ridges in a pastel parade of pinks, blues, and purples. And lighter pinks also. The place is bursting with flowers, including the new pretty pink snapdragons, amongst numerous other flowers seen before. You may or may not have noticed it, but the palette of the wisteria vines and their subsequent persistence throughout the biome are actually a subtle nod to the 6th level of the video game Celeste, which also has music composed by Lena Raine. I'm lying. Pretty nice. B tier. Oh dear. This biome is overgrown. The flowering shrubland is the one and only time nature's spirit really indulges in too many flowers all in one spot, and it's unfortunately just as unpleasant as in other biome mods. I really think you can only just barely get away with doing this if the flora is all very uniform, or if you only have 2 or 3 different types working together. This one though, definitely not the worst in the world, but it's absolutely way too busy looking for its own good. Sadly, F tier. The Golden Wilds feel very reminiscent of a painterly rendition of an autumnal farmland. The maple leaves block feels like it does a good job of representing the leaves that it's comprised of. And all 4 shades of the block look good, as do maple logs. The biome even gets its own wolf variant skin too. Man, I bet a wheat field in this biome would work to excellent effect. With that said, I do think the place feels a little emptier than I'd like. I'm not sure what it is about it. Perhaps it's all too uniform. Not to a terrible degree by any means, could just do with a little more variation in tree heights and maybe even frequency. Brief. Solid B tier. The heather fields feel completely bland, to be honest. There's a couple more heather flowers than normal amongst some sparse fir trees, but otherwise, oh cool, dwarf blossoms, neat! Not much to this one otherwise though. D tier. This is a nice lavender fields. Alongside lavender features anemones and the incredibly striking foxglove. Why are the foxes wearing glove exactly? Who knows? But they look great in them nonetheless. Kaolin also makes up the stone of this biome, giving it a nice rustic feeling all throughout. It's a decent biome, but I do feel it lacks a little bit of character compared to, say, Bob's take on the biome concept. I'm feeling a C tier. I know that's probably gonna be controversial. The lively dunes rule. Whilst not much for feature generation, they're a killer with their terrain, featuring these insane looking shattered hills. They're quite the spectacle. If this place had some actual life to it other than that, it'd be an easy S tier. But for how ironically barren it is otherwise, I think I'll be giving this one a B tier. Before we continue, I just want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon members, Calcion, Nightly, and Eternal One. Thank you very much for your support. They help making videos like this one possible. If you'd like your own shout out in one of these, exclusive behind the scenes posts, and a fancy patron role in the Discord server, you should consider becoming a member today too. But enough of that, back to the video. Oh hey, it's that thing I requested 4 entries ago. The Maple Woodland is effectively just a more lush Golden Wilds. I think the extra trees go a long way in bringing the place together better. Good stuff. But again, could still do with a little more variation in tree height, I think. He's here. The marigold meadows are the golden wilds, but with a load of marigolds. I kept writing Mariogolds in the script here on accident, like repeatedly. Have you ever played the new Super Mario Bros. 2 game on Nintendo 3DS? The gold gimmick looks cute. I'm gonna share a secret with you. I haven't actually played new Super Mario Bros. 2 on the Nintendo 3DS. I just think it looks cool, much like this biome. I'm gonna let you in on another secret. I haven't actually played in this biome. I also just think it looks neat, but not as neat as new Super Mario Bros. 2 on the Nintendo 3DS. See tier. I dig the marsh. Alongside the occasional willow tree and lotus flowers, we also have blue orchids and sedge grass. The scrappy terrain is probably a bit of a pain to traverse, but sometimes the variety's good to have. B tier. The oak savanna's alright. Its color combination of darker green trees with a particularly light and warm shade of green for the grass is certainly a unique choice, even if it's not my favorite. These little hills that can form look pretty cool though. I wouldn't live here, but it's neat. C tier. The prairie, it's boring. I don't like it. D tier. The red peaks are red peak. A mix of chert, sandy soil, and a sprinkling of red terracotta bring this place together to decent effect. Being honest, I think sandy soil is just a little bit ugly. The mountains they help form in this biome, however, are pretty cool. Good stuff. B tier. God damn, this redwood forest is cozy. Not only cozy though, original too? Whilst most other takes on this biome typically go for a deeper shade of red for its logs and a brighter shade for its green leaves, this one is all considerably more subdued. Though Podzol, my beloved, still features, it takes a noticeable backseat to the considerably more prevalent amounts of grass, which finds itself a nicely desaturated lighter shade compared to the rich dark green of its tree leaves, creating a lovely contrast. Supporting this balanced palette is some nice extra foliage, including tough boulders, grey polypore shell fungus decorating some of the trees, the odd blue iris and blue bulbs here and there, and the lovely large fern bushes, in addition to the odd spruce leaf bush here and there. I really like this biome. S tier. The scorched dunes are, they're fine. Arid savanna without trees in it. C tier. The shrubby highlands are boring, and I don't like how bright the desert turnip roots are either. Waste of a biome. F tier. The shrubland, by comparison, is surprisingly delightful. The shrubs themselves are very cute and unobtrusive, and the contrast between the strong green and pale travertine is great. Feels a little evocative of region unexplored's chalk cliffs, which I also love. A tier. The sleeted slopes and snow-capped red peaks are both basically exactly the same as one another, and equally boring subbiomes of their respective deserts. Why have it snow on a desert mountain? Doesn't look bad, per se, just kinda pointless. D tier. The snowy fir forest is very cute. It's a little slice of a winter wonderland. I like the leaves on the trees. The sickly colour of the grass does spoil things a little though. Would be nice if it matched everything else a fair bit better. Brings the place down, sadly. C tier. The snowy redwood forest. I didn't know redwoods could be snowy. How about that? Kind of a shame, because while I think they look amazing in real life, the execution here is subpar comparatively. It's that damn grass, man. It's too colourful here. Or rather, not colourful enough. Nothing's really popping, you know? C tier. Oh my god! The sparse tropical woods, as a name, does not even slightly convey how nice this biome is. My goodness! Mahogany trees make up the ecosystem of this environment alongside acacia trees, filled out with ferns and bushes halfway everywhere. Where they're not present is in the beautiful vivid rivers that cut through this biome, with a lovely aqua blue water made interesting by helova pads, lily pads, and lotus flowers. I love it, goddammit! S tier! More broken up cliffs, hell yeah! But isn't the stratified desert basically exactly the same as the lively dunes? I'm gonna give this one an R for redundancy. A less interesting version of the blooming Sugi forest, the Sugi forest lacks the cherry blossom trees and less tree-dense generation of its variant counterpart. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, it still very much features every other part that made up the blooming forest's excellence, but the exclusion of any other tree types to break up the monotony of all the notably dense Sugi trees does bring it down just a peg. A reluctant A tier. Similar in spirit to the Sugi forest, the tropical basin is another far denser variant of its derivative cousin, the sparse tropical basin. And just like the Sugi forest, I think this biome is far worse off for its higher clustering of trees too. The particularly well-balanced blend of acacia and mahogany trees has been thrown out for a far greater emphasis on the latter type. And as that is the case, so too gone are the frequent marshed acacias poking their heads out of the rivers, which were one of my favourite parts of the biome before. I miss it so much already. B tier. The tropical shores are aight. The tall beach grass does not fit in very well at all, standing out strongly against what otherwise feels like a very flat and underdecorated grass plains biome. Coconut trees are cool, and they even drop coconuts that can be split apart and eaten, but that doesn't really mean much on its own. The best part of this biome is easily the coconut villages that can populate it, but carry a very humble Hawaiian theming with roofs made of thatch and buildings made of coconut wood. Good stuff. Still, this is a biome ranking, not a village ranking, and this is an incredibly mediocre biome. C tier. Is this another tropical basin variant? Jeez, was 2 not enough already, you greedy pig? The tropical woods are alright. The mahogany trees are far more uniform here than they are in the other 2 iterations of this biome. Feels a lot cleaner. Still not sparse tropical basin level good, but better than the base biome. I really like how open this variant feels, if that makes sense. A tier. The tundra is like a sicklier version of the boreal taiga. My god, I don't like this at all. Somebody get that grass some Pepto-Bismol, it looks unwell. D tier. Hey, I mentioned the chalk cliffs from Regions Unexplored earlier, and here we are again with the White Cliffs. Where that biome is diminutive in its generation, the White Cliffs comparatively have the capacity to be significantly larger, creating these excellent pale cliff faces that feel very reminiscent of a view you'd find on the trains at Brighton. Excellent. A tier. Again with a third variant? The windswept Sugi forest does away with most of the unique shattered terrain that made its original iterations so distinctive and memorable in favor of the occasional tall cliff instead. B tier. More variants! The wisteria forest is a more filled out version of the floral ridges, and once again, I think I appreciate more and more in retrospect just how much less cramped the former biome was. Fortunately, this biome does have at least one distinguishing feature from its more humble counterpart, that being the frequent floodplains layering the biome, turning it into quite the damp trek if you're trying to traverse through. The other big highlight of this biome is its unique wisteria villages, which feature some pleasantly humble homes on the outside that pop with the biome's signature pink, whites, and blues on the inside. This flag that can be found on the center of the village is a clever reference to Celeste's Chapter 6 B-side level, Reflection. And speaking of B-sides, this biome is a B-side itself. The wooded dryland is humble, but neat. Gaff trees sparsely populate a warm grassy plain sitting atop pink sandstone. It's really simple, but really pleasant. I like it a whole lot. A tier. The Woody Highlands. No, get him out of me, get him out of me! The Woody Highlands are a pretty indistinct forested plains biome, throwing gaff and fir trees next to one another in an environment you'll forget about as quickly as you discovered it. It's just fine. C tier. Olive, cedar, and cypress logs ambitiously collaborate with travertine, ogre-colored grass, and awfully juxtaposing flowers to make this Eric Plains a biome that somehow manages to be less than the sum of its parts. I think this biome just straight up looks kind of ugly. D tier. Whilst every other biome mod under the sun is fairly self-contained with its additions, Nature's Spirit goes the extra mile and injects some of the base game's biomes with its own changes to varying degrees. The windswept savanna gets quite the makeover, with travertine injected into the ground and mountains, coarse dirt making up far more of the biome's ground, and the occasional anemone flower making a cameo every once in a while. The original shattered charm of the biome is lost, of course, but what replaces it isn't half bad in its own right. Pretty darn nice, I think. B tier. The swamp receives a massive makeover in Nature's Spirit, receiving its own fair share of zola, lotus flowers, and corn dogs covering the water, in addition to every oak tree in the biome having been replaced with the lovely willow trees from the mod's own marsh biome. It is an undeniably drastic makeover from the base biome, and I do admittedly wish it was its own thing, separate from the base swamp, as it's considerably denser than it, but it is still really nice for what it is. A tier. The savanna has been brightened up considerably from its moodier base game counterpart, with a slightly brighter shade of grass in addition to all the oat grass and travertine replacing stone in the biome. I understand the intent, but don't really agree with it. I quite appreciate how relaxed the original savanna is aesthetically, and don't love the shift in identity these few but impactful changes have on the place. C tier, sadly. Little is different about the meadows besides the fact that it has some anemones thrown into the pool of different flowers that can generate here. I'm not certain I'm totally sold on how well they fit. Anemones are quite the eye-catcher compared to your typical flowers, but they don't feel unbefitting of the biome either, so I guess it's alright. I already quite like the meadow as is, and this addition isn't disruptive, so B tier? The jungle, much like the savanna, feels like it leans a little too far away from the original spirit of the biome for me to like it very much. We already had the tropical biomes, why turn an existing one into another dusty river type? C tier. Yet again injecting its own flowers into other people's biomes, the flower forest not only runs rampant with its own flowers, but nature's spirits too. It's alright. Don't love the bunchings of certain flowers, and I think the occasional wisteria used here wasn't too necessary, but it's fine. C tier. That damnable desert grass that I hate! No, I don't hate it, it's just fine. Annoyingly boring, actually. I don't know why they bothered with this one. D tier. The additions to the dark forest are minimal, but nice. Carnations, anemones, and bluebells are added sparsely just for that extra little bit of flourish. An excellent way to go about mod integration in my opinion. Good stuff. A tier. Yup, these badlands are pretty damn bad, man. Chert is arbitrarily scattered in addition to that nasty dying grass, to create the equivalent of what feels like littering in a national park. Might be the worst addition added by the entire mod, frankly. Good thing it's opt-in. F tier. Ending on a far more positive note, the rework to the birch forest is excellent. The shape of the tree leaves is more vertical, making the trees feel less cramped around one another, and bushes of birch leaves cover parts of the ground too, breaking up the monotony even further. The mod's own flowers are also used selectively and to great effect. Effect? Including snapdragons, which I'm not sure I've seen before. Cool! All around an excellent set of changes that almost effortlessly turns one of Vanilla's most tiresome biomes into one of its most calming. 8! Overall, Nature's Spirit knocks it out of the park with consistently high-quality texture work and art direction, unique and exciting terrain generation, and even custom villages to flesh out the world it creates even further. Although there are a few duds here and there, and a fair bit more redundancy and needless sub-biomes than I'd like, for the most part, the biomes it adds are consistently delightful and meaningful additions to the game. And hey, look at how many times it strikes gold! I think this may well be the single best biomod available out there right now. Good job to Nature's Spirit. If you want to watch more biome and mod reviews from me, Nekomaster, check out this playlist here. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye!